Coming up on the Stifel Snow Show, we're recapping an exciting week and season in snow sports. There's been a lot to jump for joy about as we follow the best of the best, from Big White to Bormio, Calgary to Kitzbühel, and just about every epic stop in between. We've had the pleasure of keeping the pulse on all the thrills and some spills as we travelled near and far with the best athletes in the world. But capturing triumph, fortitude, enthusiasm and more along the way was far and above the most rewarding part. These athletes giving us all endlessly epic reasons to celebrate. Welcome back to the final, yes, the final Stifel Snow Show of the season. I'm Anna Jackson. Thanks, as always, for joining us as we bring you the latest and the greatest in skiing and snowboarding from around the world. So where is the US ski and snowboard team? Well, on some of the most scenic and memorable slopes across the globe. They're going big before they're going home. Para snowboards at Big White in British Columbia. Then para alpines getting technical in idyllic Sella Italy. Over to breathtaking Silverplana, Switzerland for electric free ski and snowboard slopestyle, and finally speed in Saalbach, Austria for the men's and women's alpine team. So Switzerland's Marco Odermatt got a command of the 23-24 World Cup circuit. It's been a season of astounding skiing and success for the 26-year-old. Coming into the speed finals, he'd already clinched the overall and the giant slalom titles and was looking to add 2 more to that collection. First up, he tried to secure Super G in Saalbach. Odermatt's teammate Stefan Rogentin started his last Super G of the season in bib 6. The 2022 Olympian, who took 14th in the discipline at Beijing, generated huge speed at the bottom of the course. And in his 100th career World Cup start, Rogentin finally nailed his first victory, the podium ending in a sweep for Switzerland. Not the Swiss you expected, though. Well, Marco Odermatt was just off the podium in 5th, and with his only potential challenger for the title, Austria's Vincent Kriechmeier, taking 6th, Odermatt retained the Super G Crystal Globe, his second in the discipline. And poised to go for his 4th Crystal Globe, Odermatt's downhill attempt was delayed 2 hours by bad weather and ultimately cancelled. That cleared the way, though, for 2 friends, Odermatt and France's Cyprien Sarrazin, to run the track together in sync. Sarrazin saying, "We all enjoyed tonight because it was an amazing season." So the cancellation secured Odermatt yet another Crystal Globe, his 42-point lead over Sarrazin, the only competitor who could catch him in the standings, holding up. Odermatt saying it was a huge dream to win the downhill globe. Marco Odermatt is the first man to win 4 Crystal Globes in a single season since Austrian legend Hermann Maier in 2001. And 3-time Olympian Connie Hutter pulled out all the stops in the final downhill of the season. On home snow, the Austrian skied a fast and exact run. Hutter's last World Cup victory in a downhill event was back in 2017. Gut Barami, who needed to finish 9th or higher to guarantee the globe, struggled losing time at every split and ultimately crossing in 11th. In a remarkable season finale, Hutter won the downhill race to clinch her first ever Crystal Globe and deny Lara Gut Barami her 4th of the season. Well, in the end, an exciting conclusion to a dynamic season for the women. With grit and determination on full display, Gut Barami accepted the overall, the oldest woman to win at 32 years old, alongside powerhouse Federica Brignone of Italy and America's Mikaela Shiffrin. Well, Shiffrin had supportive words for both competitors, posting afterwards, "What a whirlwind season." Indeed it was for the Alpine star, who finished with World Cup victory number 97, including her 9th this season. Not the least of which was winning the final 2 slaloms of the season after missing 6 weeks of racing due to an injury sustained in Cortina. Well, last week on the Stifel Snow Show, we saw Shiffrin return to the scene of the Cortina crash in what she dubbed an Olympic recon mission. She was at it again this time in Saalbach. Shiffrin qualified to race but chose not to, citing her ongoing recovery, but she still inspected the course that will host the World Championships in February 2025. All eyes will be on Shiffrin next season as she pushes to become the first alpine skier to win 100 World Cups. So how close is Shiffrin to that 100-win milestone? Well, take a look at this. At 29 years of age, she's already got 97 World Cup wins to her name, eclipsing legends Ingemar Stenmark, Lindsey Vonn, Marcel Hirscher, Anna Maria Moser-Prell and Vreni Schneider.
Mikaela Shiffrin! The magnificent Mikaela, World Cup win 92.
Putting on another masterclass right now.
93 and counting. 94,
95, 96,
97 World Cup wins.
absolutely stunning.
More from the Stifel Snow Show when we return. Well, we have probably had just as much fun this season recounting names of epic tricks performed by elite skiers and snowboarders as we have had watching them. So naturally, of course, we had to round out the top 5, which we assure you was absolutely no easy task. So coming in at number 5, rightward, California's Maddie Mastro's strong World Cup season just kept getting stronger, especially when landing her signature hit, the double crippler. Mastro is the first woman to ever land a trick both in and out of half-pipe competition. Number 4, Park City's Troy Podmilsack landing an epic forward triple cork 2160 in the men's ski big air to secure his first X Games gold medal. The same trick he landed to win the world title last season. What can we say? This free skier nailed it. And at number 3, a season of exciting events for Michigan's Winter Vinecki, who started competing triple flips this season, starting with the season opener. That's a lay full, and it is rare for female aerialists to consistently compete triples. Vinecki had 2 victories with the trick. In at number 2, Reading, Connecticut's Olivia Giacchio's throwing a cork 1080 at Deer Valley and landing perfectly to win the moguls competition. The first time in history a woman won a competition with that trick, and Giacchio's first at Deer Valley podium, calling it something she dreamed of. And at number 1, it is Telluride's Lucas Foster landing the first ever alley-oop double McTwist at Jutor. The 24-year-old earned his first career pro-level podium, taking 3rd place in the Superpipe competition with a soaring trick that no other rider dares to throw. Now, remember that triple cork 2160 by Troy Podmilsack? Well, that was just one of a treasure trove of highlights and hardware won by the US men's free ski team. Southport, Connecticut's Mac Forehand and Olympic champion Alex Hall put up big numbers this year, combining for 5 free ski World Cup wins. Forehand won his 2nd career globe in slopestyle, ahead of Hall, who claimed the Big Air title last week. And it was the Americans who swept the overall park and pipe crystal globe standings, led by 2-time Olympic medalist Alex Ferreira, who edged out Hall and Forehand for the award. Ferreira was the epitome of consistency this season, going 7 for 7 in half-pipe, including 5 wins on the World Cup circuit. And Australia's Jakara Anthony made some history this season, claiming all 3 crystal globes in women's moguls. The 25-year-old won 14 of the 16 World Cup events she competed in, breaking American Hannah Carney's record for most moguls wins in a single season on the World Cup circuit. And Anthony is showing no signs of slowing since winning Olympic gold back in 2022. And Anthony swept the Crystal Globes, but the Americans gave us plenty to talk about with one of the most convincing team performances. They finished with 6 of the top 10 mogul skiers, including a group that featured Olympic silver medalist Jaylin Koff, Olivia Giacchio, Hannah Saw and Ali Masuga in 4 of the top 5 spots behind Anthony. And 3-time Paralympic champion Brenna Huckabee took care of business at Big White in Canada, finishing on the podium twice and securing the overall snowboard cross crystal globe. Huckabee made the podium 8 times this season, 5 times with a win. Keith Gable and Noah Elliott also earned spots on the season podium, taking 3rd in LL2 and LL1 respectively. And when in Massachusetts, Laurie Stevens led the way in para-alpine at the World Cup finals in Sella Nevea, making 3 podiums, including a 2nd place finish in giant slalom and finishing 3rd in the overall giant slalom season standings. Well, coming up, how about this? We have got the most decorated American cross-country skier in history on deck at the Stifel Snow Show. The one and only Jessie Diggins will join us after the break. All that glitters is Jessie Diggins. Can pushing through the pain cave, having fun, and jumping for joy coexist in the same universe? Well, if you are this Afton, Minnesota native with the megawatt smile, the answer is, of course, yes. She is the most decorated American cross-country skier in history, has got a lot of reason to celebrate, and she's doing it all with love in her heart. So with that, I'm so pleased to welcome in three-time Olympian Jessie Diggins into our final episode of the Stifel Snow Show. Thank you so much for joining us. And what an impressive World Cup season you've had, wrapping it up with 310 career starts, 60 career podiums. And if not more impressive, you are officially one of the warmest and kindest athletes out there. So thank you so much for finding the time for joining us on today's show. So let's get straight into it, because after your win in Fallon, Jessie, we saw you with some pretty spectacular glitter-tipped skis. Tell us about that and just how significant that is to your signature sparkle.
Yeah, that was pretty special for me. Solomon has been, I've been with Solomon my entire career, like all 310 World Cup starts. So halfway through the season, I was joking with them like, hey, if I manage to win the overall, can you make me some glitter skis? Because I always race with sparkles on my face, and it's this reminder to myself to have fun. And I didn't, like, we were joking. I didn't think they were actually going to do it and pull it off. And apparently the guys in the shop spent 2 days applying glitter. And I have this wonderful image of all of them, like, clustered around the skis, like, painting the glitter on by hand, like having so much fun making these skis for the podium. So that was a really cool surprise, and I was extremely excited about it.
And I know, of course, behind the scenes, you say that you love it, but you are, without a doubt, one of the hardest working athletes out there. You've called your intense training schedule brutally hard. What does the off-season look like for you? I know you've played a little bit of hockey with your husband, Wade. Any other plans sort of coming up?
Well, okay, I should actually back that up. I can't really play hockey. I wish that I could. I'm not really coordinated enough, so I watch him play hockey, but that's incredibly fun for me. And I'm in my off season right now. So first I had to take a week totally off to reset and rest and sleep, because the season is really, really hard on my body. We raced a lot of times, and each one of those takes an enormous effort mentally and physically. So I've just had some nice time to relax. And now I'm actually headed on my honeymoon with my husband. It was delayed by a couple years while we were waiting on his green card. And now that he has it, we're going to go down to Patagonia and go hiking and camping. Or I say camping, it's probably more glamping. We're treating ourselves. And so we're going to have a really fun time. And I'm just so excited to explore a totally new part of the world for us.
Another wonderful thing about you is just how open you are to talk about topics that aren't really that easy to talk about and discuss, especially with such candor. Your vulnerability seems to really resonate with your fans and just throughout the sporting world. Talk a little bit about the importance for you about speaking honestly about combating the stigma and misinformation, especially around mental health and eating disorders.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important that we don't always just put athletes on a pedestal where we can't relate to the struggles that we all go through as humans. And mental health is a huge part of health. And for me, I really struggled with mine in the lead up to this season. Honestly, this whole season to me represents the season where I reached out to my support team and to my family for help and received the care and the help that I needed. And that was huge for me, because that's the only way this season would have been possible. I think it's just important to say that if you need help, that's okay. It actually makes you incredibly brave when you reach out for the help that you need.
Yeah, very well said, Jessie. And your voice is carrying so much weight in the sport as someone who represents mental health. And it's such an important thing that you're doing. Back to the skiing. 2018, after you and Keegan Randall teamed to win the first US Olympic cross-country skiing title, your agent asked you if you had any requests as a newly crowned gold medalist. Just remind us what you said.
Yeah, I think he was expecting me to say, like, I want to go to Disneyland, or I want a car or something. And I was like, I want a World Cup in Minnesota. And they were all like, ooh, that's a big ask. But it was the one thing that I really, really wanted, was to get to race at home in front of the community that had unconditionally supported me way, way before I was making World Cup teams and Olympic teams. I wanted to race and give back to that community. And so a lot of people worked very, very hard for a long, long time. And I will never stop being grateful to every single person and volunteer at the Loppet organization and Cher Winter, because the way they made that race happen, 20,000 fans lining the course. I got to glitter up all my teammates. We got a chance to start athletes who had never before gotten their first World Cup starts, because we had nation group starts. So there were so many amazing things happening. But I have to say, racing on the course with that many engaged fans who were screaming and cheering and so passionate about this sport that I love, that was one of the most meaningful moments of my entire career.
Yeah, you can just see how special it was to you. What a moment that was. And you are so supportive of your teammates as well. Gus Schumacher, your teammate on the men's side, he recently just became the first American man in over 40 years to win a distance cross-country World Cup event, as you say, in your home state of Minnesota. You were right there to celebrate that with him. Tell us about that moment.
That was one of the highlights of the entire season, seeing Gus, who has put in so much work so consistently. He is someone who has so patiently put in all the time and dedication that it takes for years and years and years. And to see him put it all together on a race on home soil. And it was just so special for me to get to be there and see his face when he realized he had won. And then we got to lift him up. And, we had a race coming up in like an hour. We probably need to go out and test skis. But the most important thing in the world to me was to be there and see Gus have his moment. And this was just, it was so special for our entire team and also for U.S. skiing. This marks a huge turning point.
We can't let you go without talking a little bit of cheese, because a blog on your website, you captured a photo. It's okay to get excited about cheese. Tell us, what do you do with all that cheese? And for those who are listening and watching who don't quite know what we're talking about, just explain what I'm talking about.
Okay, so when you win a cross-country World Cup, or when you're on the podium, all top three, you get this giant, like 12-pound block of Gruyere cheese. It's incredibly tasty. They're very heavy. And I think I got maybe 11 of them or so this season. And so the first block of cheese always goes to the wax techs and the coaches in the truck. That's the big thing, is the first one always goes back to the team behind the team. And then we start giving it away. We give it to people. And the very last block of cheese, my husband really wanted some back in the US. So I shoved it in my ski bag and brought it home. And we're still working on it and sharing it with friends and neighbors. And it's a really fun thing to have for your charcuterie board.
That suitcase probably didn't smell quite so fresh when you took out a huge block of Gruyere cheese, but I love the dedication. There is nothing better than a good slice of European cheese. Jessie, you are one of the best. Thank you so much for making this final episode of the season just that little bit more special. Such a joy to have you, and we'll be keeping up with everything that you do on the road to 2026 Cortina. So enjoy a little bit of downtime and your honeymoon.
Thank you, I will.
And if you think you can't top cheese as a victory prize, well, think again. Let's count down our favourite podium prizes of this season. Gruyere, anyone? It is easy to be cheesy on the cross-country World Cup stage. The only way to top this, I have to say, would probably be with a nice sleeve of crackers and some red wine, anyone? And how about Mikaela Shiffrin was queen for a day? The alpine jewel bestowed a crown to complement her slalom victory in Slovakia. And clearly not their first rodeo. 10-gallon hats are all the rage in Calgary and Canmore. And I think this one is probably my personal favourite, chocolate medals in moguls. It's chocolate, of course this was going to make our top two. And last but not least, it is Mikaela Shiffrin again, but this time reindeer games in Levi, Finland. Now with her own small herd, it may be time to broker a deal with Santa. We know a guy. Call us Mikaela. so much fun to look back on. We've certainly had so many amazing guests and grand entrances on this show, and every one of them, I have to say, an absolute all-time favourite. So it would be hard to pick a top 5 from all of that lot. And with that, we had quite a time choosing our top 5 races of the season. So many epic moments, and I'm glad we can touch on just a few of them.
And now the crowd coming to life for the top-ranked American, River Radames. Time to strap in.
This is a moment right now. That is beautiful skiing.
He's large and in charge right now.
River Radames, the run of his life!
And now the American Bryce Bennett. Look at this. He's got the lead by 0.2 of a second. Into the lead. Bryce Bennett out of bib number 34. Unbelievable.
Gus Schumacher, the 24-year-old from Anchorage, Alaska, takes to the course in Minneapolis' 10-kilometer men's freestyle. With all the threats in the finishing house and Gus Schumacher's time stands the best, he will be the FIS World Cup winner in Minneapolis. Jessie Diggins really in control of this Tour de Ski right now. Your winner today in toe block. Diggins caps off the beginning of the 2024 calendar year with a victory in the Tour de Ski.
And now the final run in another incredible season for Mikaela Shiffrin. Soaring through the final gates, and Mikaela is on top in Saalbach. It is 97 World Cup wins and no signs of slowing down.
Well, what a season it has been. So many memories. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you here on the Stifel Snow Show. I'm Anna Jackson. Thank you so much for tuning in all season. And from everyone here on the show behind the scenes, it is goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time.